One more thing we need to add, we are using this argument. So this argument is coming from the as a request parameter, basically params. So we need to add here the request. We need to add here the request param. Okay. So, yes. S- Let, let me add here. So now I think it. So yeah, some audio issue was there. Okay. Let's start from the postman. So now I need to start my application and we will see like is it working like user details. So let me, for now I'm closing the unused classes. So application failed to start. Some error exception is there. Let's see what is the issue. The field service in controller requires a bin of type service user service that could not be found. Okay. So in user controller, we have given this user service IMPL and object for this is not getting created. So anything else we are using here? We are using the REST controller and then auto add it. Same thing we have done here also. Field service in the Spring Boot user controller. Okay. A bean of type com.hnt.service user service that could not be found. Let me first start this application and then we'll see. So for starting the application, I will go on the project level first and then I will start it. Invalid table name, it is giving. Okay, so The reason is maybe like with the user, we cannot keep our name, table name as user. So for that, I will create one new table. And in our entity class, what happened like if we check the common names, so with these names already there are some existing table in the Oracle database for related to some metadata storage or some kind of the like its application storage level. There might be existing table from the Oracle side with the name user, and that name like user table is not allowed for us to create manually with the help of the Java. So I need to rename the like I need to take the new table for this. So for that, I will take the annotation as at the rate table and name equal to. I will create one new table as users. In the users table, I will be putting the details of this user related. So now mapping I have done. I will restart again application. So so again it is giving the field service. Now it is giving the different error it is giving that could not be found service. User service MPL is not found. Okay. One thing we missed is we need to add the at the rate service annotation. So that's why it's not picking up. Because automatically create the object of the service class, we need those annotations. These annotations are defining like it is the one object, it is the one class where Spring Boot will find those classes. So now it should work. So we can see our application has started at 8095, and in our application.properties file here we have given the DDL auto as create. Because of this create, if we see what query it is running for the database, it is creating the fresh table, and two tables it is creating. One is the student table and other it is creating the users table. And we can see like what fields it is creating. Class like these four fields are of the student table, and these five fields: age, user ID, email, role, and user. These four fields basically of the user table, and at last it is defining like what primary key it is using. So one primary key also like same field it is treating as the primary key. So this create command it is giving. So I will copy this for the future reference if need, like what it is, what queries it is running for user implementation. So this create query will remove this student. This is for the users table, like this schema or this query we are using. Now what we need to see, like other than this, what it is doing basically. So I will start from the top. First thing, it is creating the temporary table for the same purpose. And if there is any data it is deleting, then it is writing the drop commands, drop students and constraint. If any constraint is there, so it will delete those constraints also. Constraint in the sense like um, we are writing as a primary key, foreign key. So those kind of the existing, if any kind of existing constraint is there on any column, so that constraint will be also deleted, not null. So there are like many constraints on our columns. So just to show like what are the constraints. So you can see like there are the different constraints, SQL constraint, like these all: not null, unique, primary key, foreign key, check, default, and create index. These all are the constraints basically. So these applied on the column name. So if the any such kind of the constraint is added on any column for the existing table, then that constraint also need to be deleted. And for that query, there it is running as drop table student and cascade constraints. So along with that, constraints will also delete. Same it is doing for the users table. If there is any sequence, that sequence will be also deleted related to each table. So student sequence and user sequence, but we have not created any sequence so far. I'll just write these queries also for the reference, like automatic query, what is running. So drop sequence, I'll write related to user only. So I'll copy this. And then what else it is doing related to the user, it is running one more command, this one. So one temporary table created, then this sequencer dropped, and then final actual our create query is running, which we run in the SQL developer, or for the database side we run. Basically this is the main thing, but we need to know like what other things is happening parallelly. So for one create of the table, these all features these three commands will run internally basically. Now we need to, like, we can see our application is started. We'll hit the end point, get personal details. We'll see like what is happening if data is not there. So we are getting some exception, and we are getting exception as user ID not found. So exception is correct, like user ID not found, but status code and other details are not coming here because I have not done the exception handling. But we can see the message as user ID not found. It means this endpoint is working. And so what we need to do, the next thing is like I will copy this. So just to summarize what we have done so far is, forget the personal detail. First, we have created the user controller. Inside the user controller, we have given the annotation as like a REST controller. Then service class, user service we are creating, and then user repository, then user class, and that class is calling to the table users. So these new things we have done, and then in the controller we have defined as endpoint. endpoint or URL as slash get personal details. So this is basically get personal details. Wait, get personal details, and this is a part of get mapping. So basically I can go to the code and copy this line controller, and this line get mapping line. So we have created one endpoint in the controller and then calling the service layer, and from service to repository layer. And in the repository layer, we have defined as the main table as users, and the primary key is user ID. So that is a part of the repository. And then this users table, in the users table, we have given the fields as 4 fields like age, email, name, those kind of the personal detail we have added. And now what is next functionality is to put the data inside that table. So there is two way for it. Either we can create the data from the insert query, select star from. So currently there is no data in this table. So one way is to create the data from here, Oracle database, and then get that data from here. Or other way is to create the data from the new endpoint. So for now, we can use insert query, insert into users, and then we need to give the values for it. So let's create one insert query here first. Users, and then values. So we have already one insert query. I will take the reference of this. So we can see insert into and then table name, and then all column names basically we need to take. So to take the column names, we need to see from here what columns are there. So I will write the describe command, describe users. So we can see we are having the column as age, user ID, email ID, and role. So I'll write here age, user ID, email ID, and role. So if you see age, user ID, email ID, and role, okay. And age and user ID are the numbers, and email ID and role are the varchar. So that is the string. So we need to give the values accordingly. So for the number, we need to pass integer only, and user ID is also the number. So let's start from the 1, and then email ID I will take as first, user as same thing again. So we'll start from suraj@gmail.com. Suppose I'm taking that user ID, and then its role is student. So that will be also the string. So let's run this command into the database. Missing double quotes identifier. Okay, so this Suraj, I have done the wrong. So here we need to give the single quote. So one row has been created and we can check that by select star from users. So we can see age, user ID, email ID and roll number. So age is 8, age is 8, user ID is 1, email ID is suraj@gmail.com and its role is student. So now we'll call our postman endpoint to see like data is coming. So yet it is showing like user ID not found. So we'll restart our application to make the new instance or connection with the Oracle database. And then we'll see like it's picking the right details or not. So I'll stop it and then restart. Okay, the reason is like again, name is already used by an existing object. Okay, so the problem is like we have in application.properties file, we have written the create. So whenever I will write the new, whenever I will start my application, it will delete the existing database. So for that purpose, like what I have to do is I need to make it as update now because the table is created. So I'll make this as update and then restart the application. So now it should start. Yeah. So I'll hit this endpoint from the postman to see data is coming or what issue is happening. User ID not found. So still it's not making the successful connection with the database. Let me close this and check that again with the SQL plus data is there or not. So I'll restart it. SQL plus. So actually there is no data in the table. That's why it's coming as this. So this problem we earlier faced also. I will again insert the value in the table. Now I need to restart this again. And in meantime, I'll cross verify like if I restart SQL plus, then data is there or not. So again, data is not there. It means like operation, whatever we are doing from the Oracle database, that's not working successfully. If we restart, its data loss is happening. So to avoid that, what we'll do, we'll create the our personal endpoint. One endpoint for adding the data, adding the personal details. So let's go to the user controller, create one more endpoint. So what we need to do is I will copy as it is. I'll make this as post mapping. Post mapping, and then here to be like add user. And for add user, I need to have the method with the same name. And when we are adding the user, then there we need the request body at the rate request body. So for request body purpose, we are doing in the class table request body, we are taking the direct object. So same thing we'll use here also. User will take, and that user will go to the database. I mean service layer from here. So now I need to go to the service layer and add these methods. So I'll go to the interface first in the service class, and I need to write like public void. We can take the void like we are adding the user, and then it will ask to create the import it, add on implemented methods. Here we need to call the save. In the save we need to pass the user. So service layer call also we have made. So now here exception is there. So for now we'll not return anything, or we can return just like we need to create one endpoint for the add user details. So I'll duplicate this post endpoint admission of a student, and there I need to rename it as add user. And here also add user will come. And body, in body we need to give the user details. So what we are passing basically, if we see, we need the age. So first value will be the age. Then second value is user ID, email ID, and role. So user ID is an integer. So I'll take as integer for now. Okay. So body also we defined, and then email ID, role. Our application is started. Just we'll see, and we are calling the add user. Okay. Consumes produces also we can write. For now I'm skipping it. So let's see like it's running or not. So add user, if I call, I'll save this first, then sending it. We can see like user details added successfully. Now we'll call the get user by ID, and I'm taking user ID as one. Let's see data is coming. So we can see data is coming here, and now we'll check in the table also. So here also that prabhat@gmail.com, role is student, then its user ID is one, age is one, user ID is one. So that details we are getting. So for now we implemented two endpoints. One is the add user and other is the get user by ID. There is nothing new. Same thing we have implemented for the class controller also. But the reason is why we are using this is to get the personal details of the user or student, we can say. So now we need to see like what will be the relationship between our student and our user. So one user can be the student also, one user can be the principal also, one user can be the like teacher also, and any other faculty or some like different kind of the labor work we have. So that kind of the user can be, so we can define the different set of the users also. Okay, so now we need to see like what architecture we have prepared basically. I open this. Okay, no issue. So we'll see from here we have written on the top. Yeah, so users we have defined like faculty, student, peon, and what so and subject, exams. So those things we have to see. So for now we what we have done, we have the student functionality and we have the user functionality for the personal detail. Then one other feature is using the class. So I'll copy this student first, and then we need to see like what we want to achieve now. So what we are able to do as of now, like we know like what is the student, its roll number, its class name, its what else in the so it's name, roll number, class. Okay, so if we want to see like what other details are there in the students table, so we'll describe that. Describe students. So we can see class name, student roll number, and student name. Okay. So I missed the student name here. Student name also we have. And from users table, what we are having is user ID, age, email, and then one more field is there, role. So what is the role of that user? We can add one more column as like phone number or contact number here. So basically, if we combine those things, the both details as of now is related to the student, like student roll number, name, class, then its user ID, its age, its email, its phone number. So if anyone comes for the like admission in the school, they have to provide these basic details, like this roll number part and class name and is will be created by the like school, but these personal details will be provided by the parents of the student or student itself. So personal details is considered by basically these are the basic details, and this roll number is created on the basis of class. Okay. So what basically we want to achieve from here, like any students comes to the school, they have to do the admission. They will provide their basic details, and along with that, we need to see like payment parts, like what will be the fee structure, fee structure, okay, per class. Then paid, it should be paid, it is paid or due. If you want to see like it's paid, due, or what is the status of that fee for that particular month. So it should be on the monthly basis. So, and then there need to be the concept of the admission fee also. Whenever anyone comes for the admission fee, we can include what else. And then other thing will be related to like study materials, like consider as books, notebooks,